don't understand how much respect I have for these the numerous guests I've had on the show.
Yes. I've peeped some of them too.
And Priest Isaac is just another one, man. I mean, the way he breaks down the mystic teachings is just mind blowing. It's on a level of you think on a level where I haven't seen too many elders go. Like it's like you break down what you hear that like the whole mystic teachings that you hear like the elders in the mountains be saying. You actually break it down more to where it's digestible for those who aren't really that spiritual. If what I'm saying makes sense.
Well, I'm humbled. I must say, I am humbled, and I appreciate love that I would have caught that spirit there. So give thanks.
You covered a lot of things. Mm-hmm. You've been on top of a lot of topics. It's just so fast to pinpoint. Because there's so many things I wanted to actually ask you
about.
No
problem. I hear with you, man. I hear with you.
So before I start nerding out even more, let's go ahead and get it in. The video you did about, I would like you to break down for a little bit on the divinity of His Majesty, especially the one where you was talking more on the mask and how you can see the young boy within the mask, and you can see the serpent within the mask, and whatnot, and the fact that you can actually see the mask out in space.
Right.
That exact mask and whatnot. Break that down for me a little more.
All right.
And he's talking about the Quetzalcoatl and the Panchaputi, right?
Right. Okay, well,
how does that tie into the video of King Emmanuel?
All right. Okay, now, well, as I said, that's an interesting place to start, but you see, you could hardly start at these spots. When you so-called started these spots, you almost have to just stick on these spots for the rest of, because that's the level that we're going to carry it here. Before I go in there, let me just be clear that, as I said, I'm also streaming live on my YouTube channel. So every now and again, I'm going to remind all, I'm sure the Honorable Empress Nile just at the Institute. So because those who are watching me, who are accustomed to coming to me, they wouldn't be seeing everything I'm showing you. So this is just almost like assisting them to know where I'm really at. So they can come over to your channel now, and it's Kushite Selassie with a K, Kushite Selassie. If you type in Promise Key, I'm sure it will show up as well. And we are there live on Kushite Selassie channel. Yes, my brother and sister, give thanks again. So I could share, right?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to be sharing my screen here, so at least I could, give a better understanding of what we're saying. All right. Now, I know you were highlighting the documentary I did, 7. I know you did say, so you're seeing that picture of the king there? Just to make sure.
No, we don't see it yet.
You don't see it yet. I wonder why. It's even telling me, even asking me if I want to stop sharing. Okay, let me stop sharing and see. I don't understand. Let me try again. I just want to make sure I have it good. So I'm going to share because I've used this software, but I'm more custom, I guess, to others. Okay. It says share screen. And I'm opening the window I want to share, and I'm pressing share. You're not seeing it yet? Nothing at all?
Nothing at all. We're just looking at you.
Okay, well, well, honestly, I can't really give no too much. I'm following the instructions I see right here. It says to share. I'm going to do it again. I press share. Slides, yes. So I press share. Share screen. Yes, I'm sharing the screen.
Kushite, maybe you need to give him permission to do that.
No? Yeah? Okay, try that and see.
Because remember, I was doing that with Shaka almost the other night, and we was listening to him when I didn't share the screen, but y'all was able to hear him do the same.
Yeah, try and see now. See if it's that.
Yeah, let me see.
You had Chaka Amos too?
Anything popping up.
I missed that. I got a glimpse of the mighty Hebrew. Well, no, I don't know.
Okay, hold on. I think that was it. Something popped up in the
and disappeared.
In the input pot. Yeah, and it disappeared.
Yeah, I just took it down. Let me come back again. Yeah, I just took it down. Okay. All right. Sorry for the delay.
That's how we do this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm learning software myself.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, I'm coming there. Let me see now. So you see the king there in his Knights of the Garter uniform?
Yes.
All right.
There we go.
Okay, fair. All right, so we can begin. Well, yes, I like that.
Let's Ross Malachi and let's up Chris 9. Yes, the two people.
Let's up. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Yes, give thanks. And again, to those people on my YouTube channel, yeah, live and direct on Kushite Selassie YouTube channel. You could just search it out and you could get a little better view of what I'm showing. Okay, now the levels I really want to take it on, since you asked me that question, I just ran through. These are not no files I really had lined up for tonight. It's just, I just went to where I think we're going. Now, you were speaking of the divinity of Haile Selassie, and of course, the documentary we did, 7. There's a documentary we did entitled 7, which really goes into the divinity of King Emmanuel. Now, I know a lot of ones would have seen it. And instead of just trying to go through it again, I'm going to see if I could maybe break down to the mind the reason why, as above, so below, as the prana would say, as above, so below. Now, this here, what you're looking at is what in Freemasonry they call the great architect. And the reason why you see this picture here first, this is a picture someone would pull up. They're very quick to pull this one up to prove or to bring to the table with their levels of facts that Haile Selassie was a Mason. I'm sure you've heard the terminology. In fact, I myself have done programs on it. I have a whole online lecture I did on the subject area. And it's obvious that His Majesty is decked here in the regalia as such of what is known as the Knights of the Garter, which is considered the oldest order of chivalry in that level of Freemasonry. But what they call Freemasonry, really, they consider the great I am or the great God to be the great architect. And this is why you would always see him creating the world with the instruments. You see him have the compass, and of course, the compass and the square is like a big part of Freemasonry in general as far as a symbol. So what it is really, we're not sticking at Freemasonry now. I was just drawing a point why I pulled that out, but we'll get back to that to some degree. Because when you hear of the Masons and all of that, especially when we were just coming into that knowledge, it would be all about the secret science and the hidden messages and the different codes and all of that. But where did that idea really come from? What is that all about? Are we just playing with symbols? Are we just trying to, tantalize people or play around with people's mind? No, this is an anciency. The Almighty, the reason why they portray the Almighty as an individual creating the world with the specific tools, being the compass and the square, is because he's seen once more as the great architect. Now, in science, right, the Milky Way, as you're observing the Milky Way here, the Milky Way is really the galaxy that we are in. Now, the galaxy, as you know, the galaxy has a specific disc-like shape, something like a frisbee in a spiral form. So this is why you would observe the Milky Way appearing as if it's like a river, a river of milk, like a cloud somewhat going across the sky. So when you observe the Milky Way really on a dark night, very dark starlit night, you would observe this white stream going across the heavens from one end of the horizon to the other end. That is the Milky Way. All right. But again, the Milky Way is actually the galaxy that we're in. And because it's in a disk form, a flat form as such, this is why it would appear as if it's like this long stream of cloud going across the heavens. Now, one of the things that stand out with the Milky Way and the different galaxies for sure is that you would hear them speak of the Milky Way having the same alignment as that of the River Nile. Now, this is something that, of course, we knew this from ancient time, but there was an article from NASA that I came across that was even, expounding on this truth, that the River Nile itself, it has a specific flow to and fro, and the actual turns and curves that the River Nile has, when they study the Milky Way and how it appears in the heavens, it has the similar track, the similar play as that of the River Nile on the planet Earth. Now, that is very serious. It brings in again the whole science of as above, so below. And let me just say quickly for those in the chat right here on my YouTube channel, you can see the link. Empress Naya has put the link in the chat. It's right there. And you just press the link and join us on Kushite Selassie's YouTube channel, and you can see the full presentation that I'm giving here. Right now, I'm showing the family, the galaxies and the creation of the galaxies. You are actually looking at the horse nebula. Of course, the nebula is really like a stellar cloud where stars are formed, and most nebulae is actually like the remnants of an exploded star. And this is in the soon creation of a black hole, which will take maybe millions of years before it comes to that fullness. But anyway, the point is now with the Milky Way, just to concentrate on it, the Milky Way, the reason why it's called the Milky Way, because it looks like a river of milk. And this river of milk is not really a river, but it looks like a river of milk running through the sky. All right. And it just so happens that it's perfectly aligned with the river of water running through the earth. Now, the river of water that it's aligned with is not just any old river. It's the River Nile. And then the story behind the River Nile is not a simple story. This is where on the banks of the River Nile is where civilization began. That's where you get the term bank, like bank that you put your money in and you can't get it back when you want it. It has to do with, the banks of the River Nile, where the riches were found, where civilization began, mathematics and engineering and theology and the concept of God and agriculture and all of these wonderful things really began on the banks of the River Nile there in Mother Africa. The oldest fossils of human beings and all of these different things, you find them along the banks of the River Nile, whether it's in Kemet, whether it's in Nubia, whether it's in Ethiopia, whether it's all the way down in Kenya. We are still dealing with the same track of water, which is the River Nile, the River Happy. All right, that's the real name too, the River Happy. So the river of milk in the sky is aligned with the river of water on earth. And it brings you now to when the Bible says that there's a land flowing with milk and honey. Now that's interesting, because the right thinking mind will know that that's just symbolic. I don't know. Milk come from, well, not just cows, but basically any mammal. But we usually align milk with cows. So whether it's cows or some other mammal, you would need a lot of these mammals to be squirting milk into any sort of, any sort of waterway to give you a river of milk. So we know it's something symbolic. Now, it so happens that the river of milk in the heavens, you saying something? Oh, sorry. It so happens that the river of milk in the heavens align with the river of water on the earth. So the land that is flowing with milk and honey, I think that is symbolic to show you that Ethiopia, Africa, especially that region there, represents that promised land that is flowing at least with the river of milk, because the river Nile aligns with the Milky Way up in the heavens, and as above, so below. Now, why I began with that is to kind of show the audience that this is the type of philosophy, idea, this is the way that we as the ancient ones would have looked at creation. This is before Freemasonry, This is before the Knights of the Garter. This is before the Knights Templars. This is before George Washington put on his lambskin apron. This is before any of this kind of stuff. This is the Almighty, the Most High, the intelligent nucleus, the intelligent energy that has creation in motion. It is that energy that we are seeing portraying the connection with the heavens above and below. Okay, now when you look at the galaxy, you can see this is a galaxy from above, Now, the galaxy is in spiral form. Most galaxies. If a galaxy doesn't appear to be in spiral form, it's because it's at a specific stage of its development or evolution. So it just hasn't begun to spring out the arms yet. Remember the galaxy? Our galaxy is still forming. Just to create a black hole from the explosion of a star. Again, that alone will take millions upon millions of years. The creation of a galaxy, because a galaxy comes out of a black hole, but this may take eons. So the galaxies that we can see, you can look at this spiral shape here in the galaxy, and what it is directly connected, if you notice here, with the spiral of life, which is also connected with the flower of life, which is also connected with the series of numbers that we call the Fibonacci series of numbers. And the thing is now that this pattern here, this pattern that you're seeing here, actually is seen throughout the universe. Number one, you see it right here in the galaxy. All right. You can see the similar pattern in the roaring hurricane that usually visits the West Indies. Pardon?
I said the tornadoes as well.
The
cyclone.
Yeah, all of these things are not just a spiral, but mathematically, if you look at it, you can see they almost like the same thing. You look at the DNA structure of the human being, you still get into that whole spiral again. This is a quasar. This is like a few steps before an outright formation of a galaxy, but that also is in that spiral form. You look here at the shell of some sort of crustacean, some sort of animal, the seashell. It also has the same geometric Fibonacci series of numbers. Golden spiral, that's the right term for this here. The golden spiral, it still has the golden spiral outlook. So all throughout nature, you see the golden spiral repeating itself. And that's why I said this is the flower of life now, not the actual flower behind there, but the
That would be something like sonic geometry, right?
Right, definitely in its highest sense. So this is why even all the different petals, different flowers, you see them in a certain formation. The pine cone also. The pine cone is perfect example of the Fibonacci series of numbers. If you check Anansi here, you see the spiral of the same spiral seen in the web. But what I'm saying is that this is just nature mirroring itself, as above, so below. And remember, this is almost the obvious, but this science, the Fibonacci series of numbers, or the golden spiral, I prefer to say the golden spiral because Fibonacci didn't figure this out. He just stole the knowledge just like the rest of them. But the golden spiral now is almost in everything, even the way the breeze blows. That's why when you smoke and you release the smoke, you see the smoke spinning around in spiral form, because that's the way the wind is flowing in spiral form. So that's why partaking of the herb is spiral ritual. Spiral ritual is spiritual, you know, the spiral. Good. So even down to the atom, you know, you could see the atom here. We all know what the atom is, that what they consider the basic building block of all matter, and but that's really it. And it has this similar look to how the whole solar system would operate. So again, just kind of furnishing the mind to understand how the dynamics of creation works. You know, even before we get the mask, and so, you know, how the dynamics of creation works. Look at the eclipse. We just had an eclipse the other day, a solar eclipse, which was seen. Right, for the new moon and the, I don't remember the date. It was the second, I can't remember it, but it was Saturday, whatever date Saturday was in the afternoon. 30th of April, yes, it was the 30th of April. And the moon was in the constellation of Aries, although all the astrologers were saying it was in Taurus. I mean, I don't know.
I thought it was Taurus too.
That's what they say, but they see these are astrologers. You know what I mean? They're dealing with some sort of chart that's maybe 500 years old. You understand? And that's just the reality. It's not no disrespect to anyone's astrological practice at all. In fact, it's more like a concern for me why I always speak about it. I'm not trying to pick up no beef with nobody. It's out of concern because I know a lot of ones will call this whatever they call it. But, you know, the planets and the stars and these things, they have a connection with us. So where a new moon is at what time, it does affect you, whether you're aware of it or not. Where the sun is, where planets are, planets that are close to each other, planets that align with each other, when Venus is between this planet, that planet, all of these things have their meaning. And they're those, you know, who have a good understanding of what these things mean when they are in to understand these things. But you're taking the academics from maybe some old-time book. That means your reading will be wrong, you know, but because remember, the heavens is alive, you know, the heaven is like a tree that is growing. It doesn't stop growing. It's like your hair that grows. It doesn't stop growing really, unless you cut it or try your best to keep it not there. And it's still growing inside. So the point is the heavens is a literal clock. It's like the clock on the wall. It doesn't stop moving unless the battery dead, you know. So what the heavens was saying 500 years ago, that's not the pattern that the heavens has now, especially when it comes to locating where the sun is during a specific time of the year, and even where the moon is, especially when it's full and when it's new. Because wherever the sun is, right, that's where the moon is when it's a new moon, wherever. So if the sun is in the constellation of Pisces, the moon meets the sun. When it's a full moon, the moon is on the total opposite of the sun. So I'm just showing you this eclipse here, and this is a bit of what I'm just explaining here. This is a full moon. You see, when the sun and the earth is in the center and the moon is on the other side. You've got the full moon, and of course the new moon is a different situation. You get a new moon here when the moon is in between the earth and the sun. So because the moon passes perfectly in between the earth and the sun, you don't get this every month, but when it's perfect, when they're perfectly aligned, you get an eclipse. So you get a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, depending on the proximity of the moon in alignment with the sun. That's the important thing. Now watch this. We know
that new moon was 100 times. It was as powerful as 100 moon.
Okay. Okay. I knew
Or
it,
we just had April 30th.
yeah, I knew it was supposed to be bigger, but I didn't get them kind of mathematics there. 100 times. Okay, fair enough.
Like the intensity of it,
And the power that is
of the
releasing.
solar eclipse. Yes, the intensity of it made it feel like 100.
Positive,
And
positive.
they also were saying that the veil is thin around that time. Portals open.
What is open?
You know?
Yes.
Those type of things. So I people say they use those moments for manifestation. That you want, positive to happen in your life or that go in your life.
Positive. Yeah, well, exactly. That is please forgive me for this here. That is am I still sharing?
No, it's not.
Okay, don't worry, I'll get to that now. Yeah, no, but you
I got
let me just make sure. I
oh,
think
no, it's not showing up.
no, I think it's me. It's don't worry, I have it there. Oh yeah, no, you're correct. I mean, it's impossible. Listen, don't share it. Okay, don't worry, I'll get it back again. The simple full moon effect. I think we all know that when the moon is full, it does affect the water level. I think we all know that. So what that shows me is that what's going on here? Okay. I'm going to stop sharing for 1 second, but I'm coming back to the share. Just give me a second. Let me arrange something behind the scenes here. What I'm saying is that when you observe, all I've been observing this, when the times when you could just walk out go into the shallow water, hardly pass, just a few steps in the same water, and it has to do with the moon. So when the moon is full, you would have the tide rising in the same way that when it's not around, the tide makes the water table as such. Now, we as human beings, I think we know that we are made up of a similar percentage of water as the planet too. Whether we are made up of the same percentage or not. But we at the moon naturally have an effect. You see this, all right?
It's not on its way yet.
Okay, it's there. I see it.
It's loading.
Okay, and again, that the fact still breaking up. I was just highlighting that.
At least it's clear. Before it wasn't clear.
Yeah, the fact that the moon itself would do that to the water, that means it must naturally have an effect on the human goodie. That was the point. So the fact that and the sun too. So the fact that the moon block out the sun or the sun block out the moon or whatever, it has to have some level of effect on you, and even on existence and creation in general. As you said, portals will open and certain different energies will go to and fro, different parallel worlds, different dimensions. It's real. And the whole thing I was speaking of is that if you notice an eclipse, when the moon goes between the sun and the earth, and you get the eclipse, you get the impression it looks like the sun and the moon are like the same size. Now remember what we've been taught, the sun is so far away from the moon, like 93 million miles, and the moon is not that far away from the earth. But because of the size of the moon, from moon to sun and moon to earth, when the moon passes between the earth and the sun, even though the sun is so far away, it gives this impression as if both of them are the same size. Was that clear? Let me just make sure I'm clear too.
Yes, very clear.
And that designed creation in general, and when I say intelligent hand, I don't mean it has to be a hand, It's just a figure of speech. And at the right size, at this time, that when it comes between sun and sun and earth, it perfectly, pardon me, covers it as if they were the both of them were two like flat objects, perfect size, covering each other. Okay. Now I went through that again to just to highlight.
But that would be impossible because the sun is bigger than the moon. So how come? Like, go back to that picture again.
Yes, tell me.
The long eclipse time, so not doing the solar eclipse time. You see how it's kind of like the cone shape?
Yes, both of them have the cone shape. Yes.
But it's still giving out the same amount of, I would just say light. Let's just say that the sun is still giving out the same amount of light, but it's being received different when it's in solar eclipse than the lunar eclipse.
Yeah, I think this well, in our respect, you know, the light off of any object must be kind of highlight maybe how it would look from our perspective. Let me hit you on this one here. Okay, you see, okay, if you notice, they didn't really draw the cone as sharp as that one, you know. But what it is really, you know, is that although, as you just said, it's so big and so far away, it is just like, okay, for example, if you are standing let's say, put up your thumb, or you're miles away from the mountain, big mountain, and you were to put up your thumb may appear as if it's bigger than the mountain because the thumb just right in front of the face and the mountain is miles away from you. But obviously, if you start to walk the mountain, you say, wow, who you expect?
Yeah, okay. Try again.
Okay, let me check something out here. I'm trying to see. I have several different. Yeah, that is not going out good with that at all. You're correct. I'm not too right here. You got a part here. All right, tell me about that then. But have some nice music in the background there. Really now, anciency. I'm going to get to, for example, highlighting the pyramids here in a moment. But I think we all know about the belt of Orion. The belt of Orion actually is in the same formation as that as how the pyramid of ancient Egypt or the pyramid of Giza is actually built. You know, the three belts align with the three pyramids. You're totally correct. I'm having some difficulty here, not with my internet, but with my slides actually. That is what's giving me the problem here. Now everything else is that is what giving me some sort of hiccup. At least from my end, I don't know if that has to do with the whole breaking up and the volume, but that's how it is, you know.
Yeah. I think it might be the PowerPoint thing because if it's cracking on this side, we're not going to receive it clear. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. All right. Let me see. I'm going to see if I can take it from here and make that stop us. You see, that's how it is, you know. Anywhere your arm you go, the evil force always try to come. The evil force always try to come in. That's shocking me there. I mean, I don't usually get this kind of interruption here, and I can see it, man. I can see that it's giving problems to even upload.
It was just fine a few minutes ago. No, I don't see anything.
Yeah, okay, all right, fair enough. So so I see it. Just to allow the Orion constant Earth's a major. Then you observe the way that the pyramids are built here. If you notice, the same way as the Orion belt constellation. All right, you check here in Teotihuacan, right? The pyramids here, constellation. You see, doing the same thing here again. All right, now. What we're saying that even when you look at the motherboard, this is the motherboard of a computer motherboard. You can see that it's the same way as the motherboard. In fact, the motherboard of the computer. Sorry, I'm purposely keeping it on the small screen so we can manage it. I think maybe when I put it on the big screen, something goes off. But anyway, what I'm saying, sorry for all that interruption, but what I've been attempting or trying to say is that obviously First of all, the Most High Creator or creation itself expresses in different form how it connects with itself. For example, the River Nile and the Milky Way. As above, so below. And then you have the situation where you see the golden spiral in the galaxy. You see the golden spiral in the hurricane. You see the golden spiral in the shell. You see the golden spiral in the flower. You see the golden to do with men as such, this is all the works of the Most High. Then now, that's why we came to the eclipse, to show you how fantastic creation is, that these two large balls that we depend on, I'm talking about the sun and the moon, that we depend on these floating objects. Some people argue that, the earth is flat, and they argue that the sun is just there and the moon is across the other side. All right. I that's the next story altogether. You understand?
Yeah, that's another episode.
That's the next story altogether. But, yeah. But still, keeping it though.
I don't mean to cut you off.
Of course.
It keeps slipping my mind. Sagittarius Dwarf Galaxy. Are you?
Dwarf Galaxy.
Yes, Sagittarius Dwarf.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yes. Well,
that's the galaxy that planet Earth was supposed to have the origin from. The Earth and the moon, actually. So the moon that we see every night and the Earth that we live on originally came from the Sagittarius Dwarf Galaxy.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. May I ask, that philosophy that's from an African creation story? Because I know different.
It's more like a galactic story.
Okay. Well, no, because most of the African tribes, as we call them, their creational story always have a galactic, cosmic sort of foundation. Zulus, Dogons, the Dogons tell you the Nomo created them, the fish people that came from where the Dogon come from? Sirius, right? From the Sirius constellation, galaxy system. And what about the Zulus? The Zulu have their own creational story too.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you, Elder, but back to the Dogon people and how they came from these fish people, how they came from these what do you call this? Space fish people or something like that?
The Nomo, they call them. The Nomo.
Yeah. It kind of got me weird. It always got me kind of funny because have you ever read? If anybody's ever read any of those, those weird what's his name? He wrote all those Cthulhu books. And those weird.
Well, oh boy. Okay. Let me hear who he says first, and then I will see how I can patch up that with Malachi. But let me hear what the Kushite said first. Who is it, Kushite? You figured it out? He's there? Wait, am I there? Let me ask that. I'm there, right?
Yes, I hear you.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if it was that bad. Okay, he's definitely gone. All right. Well, no, he have to return and explain. Who Zachariah's kitchen.
Yeah, right. Because you'll take me to Planet Ritz,
Right. Yeah. So, but the King Return man. So yeah, you figure out who you are speaking of. Oh no, you're not there. Okay.
No, that's not Kushite. That's
Yeah, I see totally there. Yes, my Lord, give thanks, Malachi was a
good guess.
Yeah, and I wasn't right. It was more the many books I think caught me, and Malachi you up into that subject area, and he break down them things.
He definitely goes
right. Yeah, it wasn't really the weirdo part that hold me at all. Because I give Malachi his props, I mean, whatever else going on in the world with him,
I swear I'm gonna get better service.
Yeah.
From Kushite, we trying to figure out who it was you were talking about before you.
The Cthulhu book. He also wrote this book about this village of fish of these underworld space fish people whatnot.
Wow.
And the fact that when I heard about the Dogon, and how they came from these extraterrestrial people they described kind of looked like aquatic creatures and whatnot. It made me wonder with the fact that this guy who wrote these books was so afraid of any race other than black. It made me wonder, did he notice did white people back then know a little more about what our ancient ancestors knew about and stuff like that? Or maybe like it kind of gave it a little credit, if what I'm saying makes a little sense. If I can remember the person who wrote the books, but he's mostly famous for writing this book known as The Call of Cthulhu.
No.
And he always had all these weird extraterrestrial visions and whatnot. If you read his books, it's real creepy.
Right. I must say.
Only fell into it because my mom's a big horror fan.
Yeah.
But because of that story, it made me wonder about what it made me wonder more about what the Dogon was talking about.
Well, no, I never came across that. No, but I understand the question, but because I don't know who maybe the author is, I honestly never came across that information there. I don't think you're talking about, there's an author that tends to write a lot about the Dogon works. His name is Laird. I can't remember his name off my head. But Laird Strangskin, something of the sort. But he tends to really keep up on the Dogon work. But really though, with the thing with the Dogon and the fish people, they call the fish people the Nomo. And the whole science of the fish worship is an agency too. Even in Christianity, fish worship is heavy. They may not notice it, but it's heavy in fish worship. You know, it has a lot to do with the age, like the Pisces age. That's fish worship. And then even when you read the Bible, of course, everybody knows that in the New Testament, you know, the choice meat of the day was fish. It was fish and bread. But a lot of that is more than just fried fish and bread, you know. It's a lot of symbolism, have to do with the age, and many other things. The fish is a very serious symbol. You know, when you have the flood of Noah, although they say 2 of every animal came on board, but no fish came on board. So that means that the flood didn't affect the fishes. Now, man, when I say, well, they have more than fish in the ocean, I know that. But you see, then again, I'm not trying to carry the story into literal world to try to tell you what's all in the ocean. It's just a symbol to show you the levels of the fish. Fish, they say, some philosophies say that angels move through fishes, or through fish, not fishes. Well, fishes, because it was once fishes, and they changed it in the New English to fish being plural. So, because in the Bible, it's fishes, they say fishes. But in English class, they say fish. 1 fish, 2 fish. But in the Bible, it's 1 fish, 2 fishes. So anyway, that's why even when you see them say Jonah was swallowed by a whale, it's him being swallowed by the fish. You know, not a whale. A whale is not a fish. A whale is a mammal. It actually changed the science of the story. That's why you see Vishnu coming out of the fish also. You know, because it has to do with the age, the Pisces science. And I think that has a lot to do with, again, the Dogons related to the Nomu. They say the Nomu came in ships. These are fish that came in ships. And it says that the rainbow would follow the ship everywhere that they went. You understand? Did the Nomu create a set of people and then destroy them and create the next set?
Yeah, actually, before the
That's my daughter, I'm asking that.
Before the Nomu, there was this god named Yoga who broke out very early. He and his sister were imperfect.
Okay, well, she's showing me that before the Nomu, there was another god creation, because she studied these things in depth, you know. So she could touch upon a few things that even I would miss upon. So yeah, but that's how I connect the Dogons even with the whole fish vibe. Now this thing that just came up that I'm sharing, I pressed share for this a while ago, at least 5 minutes ago, but I see it just came up now. So you see the picture there of the sun?
Yeah.
Okay, family. Now, as I was saying,
Yes.
all we were saying before was just to prove that the secret science is not something that humans made then. It's all in nature. That was like the main point I was trying to make. That this, the mystics of creation, without human beings digging into it, is already there. All right. Human beings may have built the pyramids, and what we did is that we took the intelligence that we learned from nature, in the same way that nature connects the Milky Way with the river Nile. We as intelligent beings, that's why we are considered gods. We created pyramids that connected with the Orion's Belt constellation and many other things out there, in the same way that nature has been doing. Okay. So now, with the knowledge that we had, we understood the mechanics of the sun. And I pray that I'm not breaking up here. And if you observe the sun now, I'm coming down now to actually the question you asked here. Now, this is the next natural science that is taking place here, which is the 11-year sunspot cycle, or sunspot cycles in general. They have greater sunspot cycle and they have a lesser sunspot cycle. The lesser sunspot cycle is the 11.5-year sunspot cycle. I think the greater one is 90-something years, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, the science is very simple. Now, the sun itself, I would like to put this on the bigger screen, but I don't want it to give us any more glitches. So I'm just going to leave it on the small screen and hope everyone can see here. So when you observe the sun, now remember the sun has its own cycle as well. Just like the earth rotates, but remember the sun is almost like a gas giant, like these planets. So it's not solid as such, at least not on the surface, So the sun now is governed by electricity. The sun is governed by electromagnetic fields. And let me just say one more time for those who are watching me on our international YouTube channel, you could definitely join us on Kushite Selassie's YouTube channel, Kushite Selassie, where you could see everything what I'm showing, and the full family is here, and we're having this wonderful discussion. Good. So the sun itself, as it rotates, the sun has electromagnetic field lines running from the positive to the negative pole. And just like the earth has an equator, the sun also has an equator electromagnetic field line. It's not an equator like the equator that the sun makes on planet Earth. It's an electromagnetic field line. It's electricity and magnetism working together. It's the sun. The sun is electricity. I know we have the sun like if it is fire, but it is more electricity. So what we're observing here now, as it relates to the electromagnetic field line of the sun, you will notice that it goes around. You will notice